I thought I made all the correct choices, but in the end, it still didn't work. Hannah still died. My cute little Hannah. Why must the world be so cruel? Samantha blinked. Now, for the first time, she was beginning to wonder whether she had been laboring under a misapprehension. What do you mean, bad endings? I don't quite understand. I thought you wouldn't. That's what I said. People don't play these kinds of games very much, so they're pretty obscure. There are some really, really good ones, though. A game? You were crying over a game? That's right, look. I'm so done. I'm so done. Oh, this music too. Did Quincy proffered the plastic object she was holding in her hand to Samantha. Samantha took it. She had not known what it was at first, being more focused on Quincy's tear-stained face than what she had been holding. But now, all at once, she suddenly understood. It was a handheld games console. On the screen was displayed an image of a cute girl. Her eyes were closed and she was lying in a hospital bed, her black hair fanning across her pillow. There was text at the bottom of the screen, perhaps to explain what was happening in the scene? Samantha wasn't sure. She did not play many games other than fantasy RPGs, and that was only occasionally, because she liked the music and the fantastical environments. Even so, Lillian was far better at those than she was, particularly during the boss battles. Samantha's fingers started to shake. So, this whole time, she had been comforting Quincy, not over the death of a friend or family member, but over the death of a girl called Hannah, a girl who did not exist, never had done, and never would. Well, now she felt like an idiot. Quincy smiled up at Samantha, her head tilted to one side. The worst thing was, there was not a trace of ill intent on Quincy's face. Her expression was completely innocent. It was clear she had not been intending to trick Samantha. Samantha had simply jumped to conclusions and had managed to make a fool out of herself. That always happened. Hey, do you want to borrow this game from me after I'm done? It's really emotional. I cried loads, even though this is my third playthrough. Hannah's death scene gets me every single time. But she isn't real. Girl, you don't understand. Some games get way too emotional. Like, don't even start. Hannah might not be real if you want to go by dictionary definitions, but she exists within my heart. In the universe of that game, I am Takumi, and I really am her big brother. I must protect Hannah no matter what. I'd even give my life for her if necessary. That's how much I love her. You know what? Samantha smiled a strained smile and handed the console back to Quincy. Her movements were stiff, as though her bones had turned into stone. I think I'll pass, if it's all the same to you. I'm gonna go back to my seat now. Good luck with the rest of the game. Ah, Sam, wait up! Quincy called after Samantha's retreating back, but it was already too late. The tentative peace which had blossomed between the two girls had already met its demise at the hands of a sudden winter snowstorm. Sorry. What's with these musics? Hey, Sam! Sam! Samantha frowned. She could see Roberta opening and closing her mouth, just like a fish, but she couldn't hear what she was saying. Why is this music so extra? Samantha's ears were filled with music, and everything else was muffled. Oh, jeez. Roberta sighed, and with one swift motion, she reached forwards and plucked one of the buds out of Samantha's ear. Oh, that's why. It's probably music that Samantha's listening to. Ah! Samantha blinked as though waking from a long dream, her lashes trembling. Hello, Bobby. What is it? You should know. If I knew, I wouldn't be asking. A sigh. All right, Miss Clever Clogs, turn the volume down already. I don't want to spend the whole journey with your weird Germanic chanting playing in the background. Oh, I'm sorry. Samantha fished her music player out of her pocket and clicked a few buttons. She always listened to music at full volume. It was a bad habit. Excuse me. It was a bad habit, like biting her fingernails and cracking her wrists. One that she had... Excuse me. One that she had never been able to shake, no matter how often Roberta scolded her. It's kind of cool how they use the music to be like, that's what she's listening to, and it's pretty extra. Some people listen to music to help them concentrate on boring tasks, but Samantha did precisely the opposite. She listened to music, loud and oppressive, to stop concentrating, so she could disengage from all her worries. Yeah, I could see that. And Samantha had a lot of worries. Honestly, you'll go deaf one of these days, and you'll only have yourself to blame. Yes, Roberta. Can you even understand half of the music you listen to anyway? Samantha smiled sheepishly, pressing her 2 index fingers together as she pondered her reply. I know a few words here and there. My German isn't that bad. However, it wasn't at the level where she would have been able to go to Germany and ask for directions, or order food. The few phrases Samantha had picked up after listening to all that German folk metal weren't particularly useful. Mostly they were overwrought expressions of deep Germanic angst. Then again, that suited Samantha perfectly. I don't really get it. Why is it always German? It's the only music you ever listen to. I'm not entirely sure. I think it sounds passionate. You would think that. You can't understand what they're saying after all. I suppose so. Maybe I'm just imposing my own meaning onto the lyrics. But is that really such a bad thing? People do that all the time. Is it the simple act of having a conversation all about deriving your own interpretations of other people's words? That's pretty deep for 9:30 in the morning, isn't it? I apologize. Maybe I woke myself up a little too efficiently. Samantha held up a half-empty can of the Tiger Print energy drink, which had been resting between her thighs for the last 10 minutes or so. Roberta eyed the now lukewarm can with an untrusting eye. Just how many of those have you had, anyway? In the last half hour? I think this is my 3rd. Girl, that's not good. That's not good at all. Your 3rd? That's right. Is there anything wrong with that? Roberta stared. Maybe she should have followed Samantha when they stopped at the service station a while back. Samantha obviously couldn't be trusted to make decisions on her own. Stuff like... Sorry, I'm like forgetting how to do her voice. Stuff like this isn't good for you, you know? Especially not in large doses. You'll make yourself sick and you'll rot your teeth. Maybe, but... It did help wake me up, didn't it? And you wonder why your stomach hurts so often. You're poisoning your body. That's what Lillian says, too. Or said, rather, because Lillian did not speak to her anymore. Samantha winced as though she had been stunned. For some reason, Roberta, too, looked disgruntled, more so than she had done when she had been berating Sam for her caffeine addiction. What does Lillian have to do with anything? I just thought, since she always told me off, maybe I should quit. Oh, so you'll listen to what Lillian says, but you won't listen to me? Is that what you're saying? Samantha's grip around the can of drink tightened. It crumpled underneath her fingers, leaving indents on either side. You do know Lillian has no interest in speaking to you again, don't you? It doesn't matter what you say or do now. She doesn't care. I know that, but she means a lot to me. And I don't. I never said that, Bobby. You were jumping to conclusions. Samantha bit down on her lower lip. How could she explain herself when she did not fully understand what she meant either? What should she do? I don't know, game? Good question. Just say sorry. I'm sorry, Roberta. I do value you, really. You have a funny way of showing it. It is difficult to believe such assertions when you so constantly do and say things that make me believe quite the contrary. Her face is too cute. I can't. I know that. I realize I'm not the best friend. I'm fickle and flighty, and I either demand too much of your attention or want none of it at all. Wow, I feel like I just got attacked in that sentence. I feel like I just got attacked. I'm not particularly good at expressing myself, and when I try to explain how I feel, the words come out all jumbled up. Again, this game is adding me. As though they were spoken by somebody else. I really am sorry if I said, or did, anything to upset you, you know? Samantha's fingers curled into fists, taking handfuls of fabric from her skirt with them. Lillian is my friend, or was, rather. Oh, she's crying, baby! Baby, it's okay! Samantha winced, thinking about her friendship with Lillian in the past tense, as opposed to the present, was still upsetting, even now. But you are my friend too. Please forgive me. I know you have to put up with a lot, and I realize I can be incredibly annoying. You really can. You're the most annoying person that there is. I know. It's the only area I excel at, really. Roberta tried to remain aloof, but she could not. Samantha's wry comment slipped through a crack in her armor and, unbidden, raised a small smile to her lips. Well, they do say, if you have it, you should flaunt it. In this case, however, I would not recommend it. I'll do my best, but I have precious little else to flaunt. In the end, maybe being annoying really was the only talent she had. Now, that was a depressing thought. Yeah, just a little bit. Hey, hun. Lexi sent a message in the Facebook asking for a ride. I don't know if you're available or not.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, Jimmy also said something too, but I don't know. I don't know if it means Jimmy's gonna do it or not. I'm finally free. Samantha couldn't help but note that DeQuincy sounded a great deal more chipper than she had looked on the coach earlier. DeQuincy's smile was wide, her eyes sparkling. It seemed she had already recovered from poor Hannah's untimely death. Samantha sighed. Why had she assumed there was something gravely wrong with DeQuincy anyway? Lillian was right. She really did have a morbid imagination, always assuming the worst like that. Alright, DeQuincy, don't go running off on your own. I am a teacher, not a shepherd, and I have no desire to hunt any errant students who may stray from my flock. Yes, miss. And the same goes for the rest of you. Miss Pope turned to face the congregation of St. Mary's students, her hands on her hips. If any of you get lost, I am not going to trouble myself over it. You are not in primary school anymore. You are old enough now to take some responsibility for your actions. Yes, miss. A dull chorus of voices answered back, fronted by DeQuincy. Why did she sound so cheerful? Was it because she had an excuse to hang around Lillian for 2 whole days? And maybe even... Shock! Scandal! See her in her pajamas? DeQuincy had always loved Lillian. She was borderline obsessed, and the border was growing thinner and thinner with every passing day. Although Samantha knew Lillian did not particularly care for DeQuincy, Lillian did not particularly care for anybody, save her younger brother, and still stunned, she couldn't help but feel jealous. Oh my gosh. Did you look at it?
Yeah.
Okay. Why was DeQuincy allowed to link arms with Lillian anyway? It's so gay! At least the unimpressed look on Lillian's face was so evident even Samantha, standing several feet away, was able to spot it. But Samantha couldn't hear what Lillian was saying. She saw the blonde girl shake DeQuincy away, as one would remove a spider from the sleeve of her cardigan. Lillian's efforts, however, were in vain. As soon as she managed to free herself from De Quincey, the girl started clinging to her arm again, like a second skin. Why are you being so cold, Lily? I thought we were friends. Miss De Quincey. De Quincey jumped. Yes? What is it, miss? Far be it from me to criticize your youthful zeal, but I fear you may be distracting some of your classmates. Could you please keep your hands to yourself? De Quincey's cheeks turned light pink. She smiled bashfully and dug the tip of her shoe into the ground, tracing semicircles into the dirt. Yes, miss. As Miss Pope lectured De Quincey on her poor conduct, Lillian took this as an opportunity to disentangle her arm from De Quincey's and walk away. And while we're on the subject, something else is bothering me. Why do you never button up your shirt? Well, it's because I'm opposed to the fastest system that keeping all of us students squashed underfoot. I want to show everyone I'm not just another cog in the machine, you know? While I applaud your efforts, school is not, as many teachers will try to tell you, a place young people go to nurture their unique talents. What did I drop? Oh, I dropped my box. Oops. It's a place where young people are sent against their will so they can learn how to follow orders and do as they're told. Anybody who informs you otherwise is a liar. Wow. Forgive me if I'm being rude, but you sound a little bitter, miss. If I sound bitter, it's because I am. Like you, De Quincey, I thought, when I was young and foolish, that I was an individual, and should therefore be allowed to express myself as such. I even dabbled in poetry. Can you imagine it? Poetry. Well, you are an English teacher. Indeed. And do you know what kinds of people become English teachers? De Quincey pondered, an awkward smile on her face. The kinds of people who aspire to become published authors or poets, but fail to achieve their goals? Exactly. When I had to... This game is adding me! I swear! When I entered the working world, I became far more cynical. You come to school to do your exams, get good results, and boost our school's reputation. And teachers who care about their students beyond what is written on a few slips of paper are few and far in between. Well, if you only care about my results, how I dress shouldn't matter, should it? Nice try, De Quincey, but that isn't going to cut it with me. You might be smart, but that doesn't amount to much if you only show up to half of your lessons. Gosh darn it. Perhaps I could overlook your flagrant misconduct if you applied yourself more seriously, but as it is, I will have to ask to button up your shirt. Yes, miss. And can you do something about your hair in the future? The color is hardly school regulation. But it took me 3 hours to dye it this color. And it will take me less than 3 minutes to chop it all off with a pair of scissors. Is that what you would prefer? I could always buy a wig. Would that be acceptable? You may do whatever you like as long as you can stop it being so blue. Yes, miss. Give me 2 seconds to pick up my dropped box. Okay, let's actually continue. Finished with the rebellious De Quincey, Miss Pope turned her eagle eye towards Samantha. Samantha was straggling along at the rear of the group, her face pale, one hand on her stomach. From a distance, she almost looked like a wounded war hero, limping away from the carnage of the battlefield to find an undisturbed place to die. On closer inspection, however, she looked like what she truly was. A foolish girl who had ingested far too much caffeine far too quickly, and now was suffering the consequences. Miss Pope, being Miss Pope, had no sympathy. That sounds about right. Samantha had been making these tortured noises for the past 10 minutes or so. Each small utterance that escaped her lips was, invariably, coupled with a gurgle from her stomach. She wasn't going to be sick, was she? She really, sincerely hoped she wasn't. Not on her geography field trip, in front of her class. That would be so humiliating. Roberta looked at her, half sympathetic, half smug. It seemed she had gotten over her momentary irritation on the coach, perhaps because Samantha now looked so dreadful. Are you all right? I feel like I'm going to be sick. Well, I did warn you. But by that point, it was already far too late. Hey, Lindsay, what's up? You look even sicker now than you did when you drank all that absinthe. Absinthe? I don't know. Don't even talk to me about absinthe. I've learned my lesson. I really thought I was going to die back then. I even started to write out my will. Of course, that only made me feel even more terrible when I realized how few friends I have to distribute my unimpressive amount of personal belongings with. How nice. It was the exact opposite of nice. I felt awful. Then why did you drink it? Just saw you were on. I wanted to hang out. How are you? Doing pretty good today. I was tired earlier, but it was a good kind of tired because Jack and I decided to walk from our apartment to Noodles and Company, and we ate lunch there, which was really nice. And then we came back, and then I took a power nap because I was really tired. But now I'm playing this really cute visual novel game, so it's all good again. Because I'm young, I wanted to try new experiences, broaden my horizons, strengthen my mind. But all you strengthened was your gag reflex. Yeah, it was really nice. Samantha wrapped her arms around her stomach even tighter and hiccuped. It was a hiccup that brought with it the strong taste of bile, sharply acidic, and she had to swallow it back down with tears in her eyes. Even though she had finally made it back to her beloved countryside, she could not bring herself to enjoy her surroundings. Partially, that was because of her stomach, but it could also have been miserable weather. It was an overcast March day, and the sky was dark and cloudy, promising rain. The wind was cold, staining Samantha's cheeks so they turned red. The ground was at a steep incline, and walking up it was tiring. The constant thud, thud, thud of Samantha's feet as her shoes met the uneven earth made her stomach gurgle even more. She just had to keep going. 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot. Hey. Samantha blinked, tugging anxiously at the hem of her skirt. Oh, shoot, her. I don't have a voice for her. The person standing before her was the very last person she had expected to see. It was Lillian. Roberta frowned, looking at Lillian in much the same way as a disaffected medical student, bored from endless dissections, might regard a corpse. Yes? Oh gosh, this Roberta. Yes, what do you want? Oh gosh, I want the pair of you to pick up the pace. You are slowing the rest of us down, and Miss Pope is growing impatient. That may be the case, but what authority do you have to berate us, Lillian? I have every authority. I am the head of the student council, as you should be aware, given you are the treasurer. We have attended enough— oh wait, this is Lillian. Sorry, I thought I switched over to Roberta. We have attended enough meetings together that I thought you would remember, or else is my face so very nondescript you forgot? No, that isn't— The passive aggression between the two girls was almost tangible. You could have cut it with a knife. Samantha gulped. This time, it wasn't because she felt sick. Though Roberta and Lillian have a great deal in common, Samantha thought so, at any rate, but she knew full well both girls would have disagreed with her. The pair had never really gotten along. The enmity was not immediately obvious to the untrained eye, given they were always rigidly polite when they spoke to one another, but their voices were cold, stretched taut over several years' worth of tension. I am surprised that you are speaking to us at all, Miss Student Council President. I thought you would have better things to do. I do. How charming. Yes, Kat? What do you want? I could say the same to you. You could at least thank me for my concern. Thank you for your concern, Lillian. I suppose that's fine. Lillian looked Samantha over a few moments, her expression inscrutable, eyes piercing. Hey. Samantha jumped as though she had been poked with a pin. She had not expected Lillian to address her, even though she had not used her name. Given Lillian had been ignoring her pointedly for almost 3 months, it seemed rather strange that she would choose to engage in conversation right now. You know, it's a good story when the kitty enjoys it. Yeah, no, she just wants to sit on my lap and hog up all my attention. And she only really does this when I'm streaming. Mommy is trying to make money for us. And you're like, nah. Stop what you're doing and pay attention to me. Given Lillian had been ignoring her pointedly for almost 3 months, it seemed rather strange that she would choose to engage in conversation right now. Despite that, Samantha attempted to keep her cool. She blinked, eyelashes fluttering, and tried to meet Lillian's gaze. Tried, and failed. Samantha clenched her hands into fists at her sides, trying to stop them from shaking, and spoke. Yeah, sweetie, but you won't. I can't pet you. I need to click the buttons. I need to click the buttons. Scratch, 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 scratch. Okay. This chin scratch should be good. Yes? We'll be good after this? Yes? What is it? You look rather unwell. Is there some kind of problem? I'm fine. Are you sure? Well, yeah, one of my arms is wrapped around her right now, so she doesn't fall off my lap. So I can't pat her with it. Samantha bit her lower lip. Her hands, balled into fists by her sides, started to tremble. What should she say? My gosh, I have options again. This makes me nervous because I never know. I don't have a guide. I don't have a guide! Ah! Oh gosh, nothing's gonna be the right answer. I thought you were ignoring me. I really did miss you. It's nothing, don't worry. Oh gosh. I feel like this would just like the conversation would just end and that would be it. This seems a little too strong and doesn't relate to like why she's not feeling well, even though she's like really shaking. And then I thought you were ignoring me. I don't know what the tone is, so it sounds like it could be sassy or it could be sad. I don't know. Maybe I need a guide for this game. I don't know. There's multiple endings to this. But I also just kind of want to play blind and see what happens. I don't know. I don't know! So I saved, right? I could load it again and just see what the 3 options give me. The last one seems like the worst. Yeah, same for me too. It seems like that's just so dismissive. This seems... I kind of want romance, but... like... But I don't know. This just seems so extra. But this also could be taken the wrong way. Ugh. I mean, I can load it if I think it's a bad answer. But let's go for this one. I'm sorry if I've been acting strangely, Lily. Samantha's fond nickname for Lillian slipped out of her mouth, unbidden, even though she had intended to keep her distance. She did not want to get hurt again. When she was with Lillian, however, she could not help it. What little common sense she possessed fled from her, and she was incapable of exercising any kind of self-control.